So, our next guest is coming from France, has joined the European Investment Fund from the investment banking firm Lazard. The EIF is a European Union institution which is also Europe's leading investor into venture capital funds. He is a Departmental Director for Mandate Management, Equity at the European Investment Fund, headquarters in Luxembourg. His current role involves the coordination of private equity and venture capital instruments throughout Europe, working with national and regional authorities, as well as national promotional institutions. I would like to invite on stage Mr. Jacques Darcy.
Hello, you've had many speeches. A lot has been said, so I'll try to be brief so you can get on with the conference. Thank you. This is my first time in Romania, and I find the venue enchanting, so it's really, really nice. Thank you, the organizers, especially National Association of Entrepreneurs and the National Confederation for Female Entrepreneurship. I'll be saying a few words at the end of this presentation on that. Also, thank you, and some of them have already left for the, to the public authorities and European representatives. There's been finance people love to talk about numbers and so on, and a lot has been said, so I won't be dealing much with that. We have, one of the key messages is that we've been entrusted with programs in Romania for quite some time now. And EIF really values the close partnership and trust that the Romanian government has put on us to manage these programs for quite a few years now. So it's an ongoing partnership and cooperation. Who is EIF? We're European, the European investment arm, the EU investment arm. Our main investors, shareholders, are the European Investment Bank and the European Commission, but we also count some 40, I think, public and private financial shareholders. So that's and what's our role? I was thinking as I was listening to all the speeches before is what's our specialty? Is essentially we take public money and transform it into market instruments. I think that's the what we define. So most of our investors, what we call mandators, are public, and so most of what the money we manage is public. But we need to transform it into market instruments because that's what makes them sustainable. Is that the market picks them up. There's no such thing as a sustainable public-to-public, partnership. That in order for these markets to develop, the private sector has to step in, and that's where we probably hope to, and we do make a difference. We act through intermediaries. So we never invest ourselves in companies or lend to companies. And so we're a specialist of intermediaries. In this case, venture capital funds, some of which are among us today. We, just to remind you, I will only mention it in passing, but we don't only invest in equity or in venture capital or private equity. We also have lending or credit instruments, which are complex transactions involving securitization sometimes and different layered structures with banks. So that's altogether, we're more or less split half and half in these two activities. As I mentioned before, we're very fortunate and very thankful for the the excellent collaboration with the government of Romania. Since 2008, we have managed 6 mandates altogether, and this is over 1 billion euros of funds under management, which have delivered altogether some 6 billion to the Romanian ecosystem. And that's very important for us. We learn every time with every program. We obviously know things and can bring them to bear, but I think it's very much a two-way street. And what we learn in one country, we may apply in another. And the solutions are not always straightforward. We need to be very creative, and part of that comes from also our local counterparts. I would say that so the first, equity initiative was called Jeremy in Romania, and the co-organizer of today's event, Catalyst Romania, came from that. So that I think that the message there is not only that Catalyst is a long-term partner and very successful, but that this is, especially equity, is a longer-term game. It's you need to set the programs, the seeds, and then it takes quite a while to reap the benefits. And I think Romania is at that turning point today, with all these programs one after the other, having made an advance, a difference. I think another message, and particularly within the Romanian government, our key counterpart, I would say, is the European Projects and Finance. The ministry is involved in European programs. They really know how to work with us, how to work with these European programs, which are not always straightforward, because as I mentioned earlier, we need to attract private sector, and that requires quite a bit of flexibility on their part and pragmatism, because the market in the end is the one who decides, is this a successful program or not. Maybe one message also is that you've seen a tremendous amount of numbers and names and so on. In the end, private equity and venture capital are a story of people. So, and not only and primarily entrepreneurs, but they need investment firms, venture capitalists, to support them through different stages in the cycle. But there's also lawyers, there are also accountants, there are also auditors, there are all kinds of people who need to, to build an ecosystem together. So that's very important. And it's key also, and this I think the Romanian government has been very skillful in doing, is that stop and go doesn't work with that. You need to supply funding, support through entire cycles, especially when there are crises. And in my career, I've seen already quite a few. Unfortunately, there's 2008, there's COVID, there's Ukraine, there's every few years. So it's important to keep government support, cycle on cycle. So the key is people, and that's why these type of events I believe, and I've seen in many European member states, is key. It is key to have gathering points, meeting points. Some of them are these conferences. Others is just in the pub or in the cafe or at the universities. But it is key that people meet, that you create an ecosystem of innovation and private equity. Maybe one last thing I would like to mention before we start with the conference and the actual real meetings is gender diversity and female entrepreneurs. It's very much a project of us in EIF to support women in private equity, in decision-making positions in private equity. It is key, and I think if we map the more successful ecosystems, there is a correlation, a strong correlation with the role of women in private equity. So that's and so now we have a program, InvestEU, a very large program that has actually a specific action in this respect. And at EIF, we're working actively on supporting women entrepreneurs on the one hand, but also private equity and venture capital professionals. I think I will leave it there. and EIF is a team. I mean, I'm here with my colleague Camilla Dragoi, who's very well known, much better known than I will ever be in Romania. There's also Pablo, and we have a whole team back in EIF. So if you come to Luxembourg, knock on our door. We're there. And then throughout the conference, do not hesitate to engage. We very much learn, are enthused. We get a lot of energy from meeting you. So don't hesitate to come up to us during the breaks and ask any questions or make any suggestions or any criticisms that you may have on what we do. I would say I'd leave it there at this point. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. JACQUES Darcy. Welcome to Romania. Hope you will enjoy your stay here.